Okay, so I'm gonna give you the answer to this question. Hopefully, you actually spend time thinking about it, right? So you have a square PQRS. Um, so don't just look at the solution, but have the time thinking about it. You have a square PQRS, and from each of the corners, you draw the lines to the midpoints of the other sides. Yeah, and then so you get 8 lines altogether, and then somehow that creates this shaded region. You want to figure out what the area of the shaded region is if the square has area 1. Right? Okay. So I guess the main thing about this question is sort of ignoring the things that aren't uh, relevant. So there are lots of lines intersecting, right? But you can see that the question has ignored, for example, this intersection. Yeah, no one cares about that intersection, right? So the intersection that we really care about is really this intersection here, right? Are you listening? Listen carefully, okay? Okay. So actually, if we can figure out the area of the white triangle, yeah, we can just subtract 4 of them from the shape. You see that? Okay, but how does the white triangle work? Well, you have a square. This is half of the square because that's the midpoint, right? Yeah. And then we just take the diagonals of the rectangle, right? The diagonals of the rectangle, and they meet at that point on the triangle. Yeah. Okay, so then we just have to figure out the area of that triangle, all right? So do you know how to find the area of a triangle? Do you remember? Do you remember?
I'm turning to page 2.
Okay, so remember, of a triangle is base times height, right? So if you have a triangle, this is the base, and this is the height, right? It's half base times height. Yeah. Okay. So the base has length 1, right? This is just 1. Yeah. See, what you're saying is not relevant, so stop saying it. If it has base length 1, what's the height? Can you tell me what the height is? So what's the height going up to here? You see what that height is? What is it? Why'd you say yes then? Well, I mean, if you don't know what the height is, well, what about the height of all the way here? What's that length? Do you know? Yeah, I mean, the people who know how to figure it out from here, you can just figure it out from here, right? I'm going for the people that couldn't figure it out from here right now. How long is what's the blue line? How long is it? Do you know? How long is the blue line? It's a square, okay? Well, how long is this line then? What do you mean it's also a square? There's only one square here. Okay, don't worry about that. Worry about this. So how long is the blue line? How long is this blue line? No, just watch and think, okay? I really don't understand what's holding you up here. Are you aware PQRS is a square? Yeah? And I'm telling you PQ has length 1, yeah? That's the red line. This is 1. You know what a square is? You don't know what a square is. Well, if you know what a square is, and one of the sides is 1, what's the other side? The other side's also 1, right? So the length of the blue line is 1, yeah? Okay. What's the length of this red line here? It's a half, right? Because the midpoint. Oh. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, have a seat. We're almost done, so you can sit here. So half, yes, because it's at the midpoint, right? So that means this part here. How long is this part here then? It's also half, right? Okay, but now we're only interested in this bit. We're only interested in this bit here. Yeah? It's a quarter, yeah? How do you know it's a quarter? Yeah, I mean, it's not completely obvious. I mean, it's visually obvious it's a quarter, right? And actually, it is a quarter. Um, well, basically, like, for example, the rectangles, the diagonals of the rectangles meet at the midpoints. So we know that the diagonals of a rectangles meet at the midpoints of there, right? And so the midpoint and the midpoint is parallel to the base. Okay, and so this is half, and this is half, right? So this height is a quarter, right? Yeah. So if the height of the triangle is a quarter and the base is 1, yeah, what's the area? So now what's the area of this black triangle here? Or what's the same thing as the area of this black triangle, right? Huh? What? So it's not base times, a quarter is base times height, right? But the area is half base times height, right? What the- So you have huh? 2, no, half base times height. So this is a quarter, right? This is 1, yeah? So the area is 1 times a quarter times a half, yeah?
Oh, wait. The quarter height.
Yeah, it's a quarter height and base 1, right? Remember we learned the area of a triangle in geometry. So what is the area of a triangle with base 1 and height a quarter? 1 and a quarter? What? Okay, do you know what do you get when you times 1 by something?
Just get the same number. Then
Yeah, 1 doesn't do anything, right? So 1 times a quarter times a half is just the same as a quarter times a half, right? So that's called a simplification. It's obviously just easier to think about something less, right? Okay, then what's a quarter times a half? So we just want quarter times a half. Yeah? So another way of saying this is, what is a quarter of a half? Yeah? Or what is half of a quarter? Yeah?
that's an 8.
That's an eighth, yeah? So in terms of actual writing it, it's just 2 times 4, right? Yeah, 1 over 8. So if you have a quarter and you halve it again,
Give it
right? It's like when you're cutting up the pizza, right? You get quarter and then eighths. Okay.
like a pizza. I can draw a pizza.
Okay, so the area of each of the white triangles is an eighth, right? Okay. So then what's the area of the red triangle, the shaded red triangle then?
Shaded.
Hmm.
The height is a half.
No. No. There's 4 white triangles, right?
Yeah.
So what's the area of 4 white triangles if one of them's an eighth?
It's a half.
It's a half, right? So if you subtract a half from the area of the square, what do you get? Okay, I might have given you the hard bit here because it's meant to be the realizing that you can subtract the white triangles, right, to get the area of the red stuff. So it's all together half, and then the area of the red square is 1, so you minus a half. What do you get? The whole thing is 1. The white triangles are a half. So then what do you get left over as the red stuff? Yeah, it's a half. Yeah. Okay, good. So the area is a half. Okay, so actually, if you didn't do it every step along the way, you could actually, it might be a little bit even simpler. So if you have like, so if you have, you know that the area is a quarter times a half, right? Um, so you might not need to figure out that's an eighth, right? Because you know you're gonna times this by 4, right? Okay. So when you times it by 4, you know 4 times a quarter is 1, right? So then you know it's a half without necessarily first figuring out it's an eighth, you know? Okay, and then if it's half and you subtract half from 1, it's just half, yeah? Okay, so it's kind of interesting because I don't know if it looks like a half or not, because it might not look like a half to you. It might, because like some people think the glass is half full, sometimes people think the glass is half empty, right? So it might look like there's more red than white, yeah? Because the red is in the more central part of the picture. Or it might look to you that it's more white than red because for some reason you're focusing on the sides of the picture. Okay, but actually it's the same. All right, excellent. So now the next class we'll do 21 to 25, and then you guys it's 21 to 25 as homework. Okay.